and welcome to another design vlog where I'll just be chit-chatting about my musings of what I've created in the past month or so. So one of the things that I started dabbling in is After Effects. I've always wanted to get more into motion design and I sort of briefly touched on it, but I really wanted to try some puppeting tool work with album design covers. So one of the ones that I used was Wildside, which is a Normani and Cardi B song, and if you haven't heard the song, definitely check it out. The chorus, anyways, so I ideated on Procreate and I just identified like what were the important things that I wanted to try out, and after that I moved it into After Effects and just played around with these things that I was thinking of, and if I needed to make things look better or cut certain things out, I moved into Photoshop and did them and imported it back in. And yeah, it was fun to just play around with it and see how to make movements look sort of semi-realistic. And I liked playing around with the hair, just the concept of the hair in the album cover. I really liked the idea of making it look wavy, so I think I used a liquify effect. And yeah, so this is the final result, and definitely check it out on the Insta because the music just enhances it so much. I was happy with how it went, especially since it was the second time I did it. And following on from that was Nadine's Wildest Dream. So Nadine's a Filipino artist that I really admire, especially in her latest album. So after looking at the album, I wanted to emphasize on her and the lotus like blooming, especially since sort of an important part in the concept of her album and just her growth as a person and artist. So just played around with that, was playing around with the petals, and then I also played around with other items within the album, such as the swirly mirror things behind her and the floating picture frames. Also played around with that. I think my musings in the past month of design, just to have more fun with it, and if there's an idea that I want to try, I think just go for it, especially since I'm not particularly regular with design as much as I want it to be. So I think that was sort of my frame of mind in the past month or so, which is how I started dabbling more into motion design, and just happy to explore it. And there's definitely like a lot more space for me to learn. This is how the result came out. I liked how I just added some smoke in the beginning just to add a little more drama. And yeah, the music, like the full thing with the music, is on my Insta, so suss that out as well. And moving on, more motion design stuff. So I was thinking on the idea of how am I going to get more practice, especially since I'm learning design, self-learning design, and the best way to learn is, I guess, from others. I think I like the idea of learning from practice more than formally learning it. Going on Pinterest has been a super big inspiration, and one of the activities that I've started doing more often is going on Pinterest and finding things that inspire me and just mimicking and replicating it. So I'll credit the original artist below. So I did that with this Doja Cat woman inspired lyric graphic. So I just used the same sort of elements that I saw in the screenshot, and I implemented it into Photoshop, or actually Illustrator, in my own way, and then I put it into After Effects just to add a little zhuzh into it, so adding the blurring effect and having some movement in it and having that effect just pulsate throughout, just so that it I guess adds a little more emphasis in how I wanted the design to look in the final product. And I like this idea that even when I finish something on Photoshop, I can continue to enhance it more with motion design, even if they're like really subtle effects. I think it opens up a lot as a viewer, even if you're just scrolling and you see it for like a second. So here's the final product, and yeah, I really liked the framing of it. It's really interesting, and I'd love to explore that type of style more. So the next thing that I started playing around with was Lorde and her latest solo power album. I really liked the whole concept of it, so I found this Pinterest image and I thought it would just match really well with gradient maps and just some cool funky text. Yeah, I think I'm super comfortable using Photoshop, so it felt like sort of a relief to start using Photoshop for this piece. I think I've just been trying to, in the past month, experiment more with using Illustrator as much as I can. So I tried it out on Illustrator, but then when I saw the gradient maps and I was trying to Google around on Illustrator about using it, and I think either I was Siebes or there wasn't really a way, so I was like, I'll just go on Photoshop. And I think, yeah, that's something nice to be able to use multiple softwares to do sort of the same thing, like same as using Canva, which I've sort of dabbled into, and yeah, it's super nice to be able to learn different skills to create that end product of a graphic in the end. What I found with this one was I changed it around. So the final product looks a bit different from what the process video looked like. And that's totally fine. And that's normal. Like, what happened was 1 hour after, I ended up with a completely different thing. And something that I did was playing with mesh tools and gradients on Illustrator. I didn't film the process video because, to be honest, I thought it was going to end up looking really bad. And I was like, I'm just going to play around with I don't know, for 10 minutes or so. But I ended up being I think maybe 2 hours or so of just playing around with the mesh tool and actually turning out with a pretty okay looking piece, I say. Obviously the tick could be smoother, but yeah, this is something that I'd want to explore more. There's an artist that I found on TikTok, and she just had a mini tutorial of it, and I was like, I'm gonna give it a go, and I did, and it's not as smooth as hers, but that's alright. I guess that's where you keep on learning and you want to get better with any skill. So moving on from that, I started doing replications from Pinterest. So I mentioned it earlier, but these are exact copies, and I'll credit the original people below. I think just trying to take learning in my own hands without using formal lessons. I guess the way that I've been doing it is just using Pinterest. It's sort of a relief from me because I did want to start doing daily designs and something like that, but what I realized was that I didn't have enough, I guess, foundations or enough skills that I was ready to continuously create original ideas. I tried it, I think, a week ago, just ideating my own self, but yeah, it was just really hard for me. And so what I started doing is just finding things that I really like and just giving it a go and seeing if I replicated it, could I replicate it, and what are the different methods to do so. And it allowed me to just explore the different tools that Illustrator has to offer. I think all of these were made on Illustrator except I think just one of them, this one. But yeah, everything else was made on Illustrator, and it really tested me with learning how to use the shape builder tool. Yeah, because I feel like a total noob at Illustrator, but I want to get better at it, and I think I am getting better slowly but surely. Yeah, I was really happy with learning about shapes and how vector images work. Overall, I think it's been a pretty nice, wrap up in the past month or so with design. And yeah, just gonna keep chilling. I hope everyone's staying safe and hope you have a good day.